Welcome to Crossroads Church. Whether you're connecting online, in person, or on demand, thank you for making this time part of your week. If you are new to Crossroads, you might be asking yourself, what is this place all about? Well, it's pretty simple. Peace on earth. We are an open and affirming community of people committed to following the peacemaking path of Jesus. And this peacemaking path leads us to focus our work on rewriting what we call the 5 unacceptable truths. These unacceptable truths are 5 realities that hinder human flourishing and destroy peace on earth. Together, we work to replace spiritual emptiness with spiritual vitality, poverty with physical and financial flourishing, fear of the other with inclusion and affirmation, illiteracy with education and opportunity, and modern-day slavery with freedom. This is what we mean when we say, hope is here. Over the next hour, we will experience the divine mystery together as we sing a few songs, listen for wisdom, and share in communion so that we might leave here inspired and equipped to follow the peacemaking path of Jesus in our everyday, normal lives. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God.
Well, hello, good morning. You are very welcome to Crossroads. We are so glad that you are joining us here, whether it's here in the building or online. So we introduced this song a couple of weeks ago. It's become one of our favorites, so we're going to go ahead and do it again. If you are willing and able, would you please stand and sing with us? Are you singing? 'Cause I love your melodies. Are you dancing? Wrapping your arms around me. Are you laughing? 'Cause I like to make you smile. Is it just a whisper? 'Cause that tends to be your style. Are you screaming? This love with you, it can be kind of wild. So come and change my focus. I don't notice where you're going near enough. Come and change my focus. Help us know what you've been doing over us. So come and change my focus. I don't notice where you're going near enough. Come and change my focus. Help us know what you've been doing over us.
Are you moving like the wind blows through the trees? Maybe all you're asking is just to slow it down and breathe. Yeah, I've been chasing something I can't see when I keep waiting. All this time you've been here right beside me. So come and change my focus. I don't notice where you're going near enough. Come and change my focus. Help out of my mind, out of my mind. Now the roof's off. You expand like desire, deep and we're wired. Are you calling me out of my mind, out of my mind? Your love is kind of wild. Come and change my focus. I don't know if where you're going, near enough. Come and change my focus. Help us know what you've been doing over us. Come and change my focus. I don't know if where you're going, near enough. Come and change my focus. Help us know what you've been doing over us.
Everyone, please have a seat. Thank you. Welcome to Crossroads. My name is Jim Adams. My pronouns are he, him. And my wife and I have been participating here at Crossroads for over 21 years. Our first service here was the opening weekend service in this building. So when we talk about some of the building stuff today, you know it's near and dear to my heart. In my everyday normal life, I am a part-time professor of systems engineering at Colorado State University. I am a part-time home mechanic. I fix everything. I am an occasional harmonica player. And I'm a full-time partner and parent. And so I do want to address a small case of apparent reckless driving that has been occurring in the parking lot here at Crossroads. My daughter is learning to drive. So I have a few things to share with you today. As you came in, you should have received a program. If you have not, please raise your hand and a room host will bring one by for you. If you are new here today, welcome. You'll find a few things in the program that I do want to point out to you. First thing is everyone take out your Connect card or click on it. If you're in the app, go to the weekend section. The Connect card is for everyone to fill out every week. I've already started to fill out mine. If you're a regular attender, just check, put your name and your address and check regular attender. Now, if you're new here, check the new here box and put as much information as you're comfortable filling out. We use that information to help you. If this is your first time with us this morning, we have a gift for you. It's a book called The God We Never Knew. It has been very helpful for me as I've been deconstructing ways of thinking about God that were handed to me that really no longer make sense. So on your way out, feel free to grab one from some of the tables, or better yet, come and see me at the Fresh Perspective banner in the atrium following the service. So I'd love to meet you, talk about any questions you have about Crossroads or the book, or just kind of stuff that goes on around here. Well, hopefully by now you know that we are in the process of selling this building and moving to downtown Loveland. Please check out this latest update.
Hey Crossroads family, we wanted to give you a quick update about our move downtown. And honestly, there is a lot of really good news to share.
First, our meeting with the city was incredibly positive. There are no parking fees, no planning or zoning obstacles, and the Downtown District and Development Authority Events and Operations Manager is excited to meet with us and explore partnership opportunities.
We also received confirmation that the 3rd Street building has no major mechanical or facility issues that would slow us down, which is a huge win.
And here's something we're really grateful for. Our first estimates on the minimum renovations we need came in within the budget we originally anticipated. That means the vision is not just exciting, it's realistic.
We've also been having great conversations with the tenant in the auxiliary property. That space could give us workable room during the transition, and we would have the rights to lease it for just $1 a year, as long as the theater operates.
Now, we always want to be transparent with you about finances. Since the annual business meeting, Pieces Worth It 2026 giving has reached $57,710 towards our $150,000 July 1st goal. That's 38% of the way there. Thank you for your generosity.
Our general fund is currently about $48,000 behind budget, roughly 16%. So if you've been thinking about becoming a regular giver or giving a little extra, this is a really meaningful moment to lean in together.
And the sale of our current building is moving forward right on schedule, with a projected closing in mid-May.
We're also actively planning what church life looks like during renovations. We may meet at the theater for about 6 months and then move off-site, or meet off-site for a year while planning and construction happen. We'll keep you updated every step of the way.
Here's a really important date, April 16th. That's our feasibility deadline and the objection deadline for the buyers of our building. In many ways, that becomes our go date, when packing begins and the next chapter really starts.
And mark your calendars for Saturday, April 18th. We're hosting an open house at the theater from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. We'll have coffee, pastries, and a chance for you to walk through the facility, explore the space, and get familiar with parking downtown.
So here's how you can engage right now. Keep praying, keep giving, volunteer when opportunities come up. Walk the downtown area and imagine what God is already doing there.
Invite someone into the journey with you. This isn't just a move. It's a moment where hope takes shape because of a community choosing to show up together.
We love you. We're grateful for you.
And we cannot wait to see what happens next.
It's so true. I can't wait to see what happens next, and I am so grateful to be on this journey with all of you. That's all I have for you right now. I'll ask you to stand if you're able, and I'll pass it back to Kia and the band. Thank you.
You're the horizon, the bright. You're against the constant light. You are the brilliance, the dream, the evidence of things unseen. Even the darkest days are temporary. You are the everlasting light. All of the time and space could not contain you. You are the everlasting light. You are the glory that stays. You never dim, you never fade. You are the power, the truth, nothing
go ahead and take a seat. Grab those talk notes. Brooke is going to be out in just a minute, continuing in our teaching series.
Good morning. It's good to see all of you. You're supposed to say it's good to see you too. Thanks. Thank you. So I was worried there for a moment. Like, can we just do that again? No, I'm just kidding. Well, hello. My name is Brooke Weens. I am the associate pastor here at Crossroads, and I am really happy to see you today. I don't know if it's the cup of coffee that I drank this morning that really has me just excited for the day, or if it's just the fact that you're here. But if this is your first time here, hi. I remember my very first time at Crossroads. It was late 2021, I think it was like August, September, I'm not really sure. And if I'm being honest, I walked in my very first time, incredibly skeptical. Any skeptics in the room? I'm just kidding. And I was just waiting for somebody, this white man on stage, to say something homophobic or misogynistic or something. I was just waiting for it. So I was just kind of sitting like, this just looks like a normal just church. Like, you're not gonna fool me. And that didn't happen. Bummer. Here we are. And then now somehow that same guy convinced me to be up here. So that was not what I was expecting. Imagine that. But imagine that, churches, they don't have to be spaces that perpetuate othering. Imagine that. We don't have to walk into spaces and tell people that they need to look or be a certain way. And it doesn't have to be those things. I know that we're seeing so much of that in our world right now, the othering, which is why today I actually wanted to invite the U.S. women's hockey team to... Oh, that was nice, guys. I actually was worried you guys were all just going to be like, what is she talking about? Oh, boy. As an athlete... no, we're just gonna let that be. I am. If you know, if you're like, why are people clapping over a women's hockey team? I encourage you to go look at NPR or something. Anyways, whew, that was fun. That's a conversation for another time. I won't be talking about that today, although you all know that I could. So we are in a sermon series. We are in a sermon series called The Shape of Hope. And we are pausing to look at people's encounters with Jesus and how their encounters with Jesus help kind of create a space for hope to take shape in those spaces, in those moments of encountering Jesus. And we're going to continue in that today. We are going to look at an encounter with Jesus and how hope took shape in that experience. But first, I want to tell you a story. One of my core memories as a kid growing up and playing in the 90s, thank you, was hide and go seek in the dark. Did anyone else play that as a kid? Yes, hide and go seek in the dark. No flashlights, by the way. I was telling Ryan we did that. He's like, well, we did flashlight tag. I'm like, in the dark. The darkness. So hide and go seek in the dark, right? cover your eyes, count, and everybody would run to their areas and hide throughout the house. And then the fun part, if you were the seeker, was trying to go find those that were hiding in utter darkness. And if you were hiding, if you were not the seeker, you knew that the one thing that you needed to do was just to breathe as quietly as possible. But of course, all of a sudden you forget how to do that, right? You're like hiding, you're like, and you're like, why am I? It was always the worst when I was trying to hide and all of a sudden I like forgot how to breathe. Anyways, but I do remember as the seeker, right after I would say, ready or not, here I come, that there was a trick. There was a trick, a cheat code, might I even say, to finding your friends, and it was to get them to laugh. Right? Because the whole point of hide and go seek in the dark, you can't really see anything, you're kind of blindly feeling, but really you're listening, right? You're listening, you're trying to figure out where these people are, and so being the goofball that I am, I would pretend to do funny, silly things. Like I would kick my shin on something, oh, or I would just like happen to run into a wall that I definitely knew was there, because I was trying to find the weak link, right? Maybe it was one of you who just couldn't, who fell for the trick and would let out a, and then I didn't even, then I'm like, oh, I wonder where they are. They would let out a snort, any snorters, and they would reveal their location. And so the way that you won this game was by staying quiet, right? Like that instinct was simple. Don't move, don't speak, try not to breathe loudly, don't make a sound. Because if you made any sort of noise, you would be found, you would reveal your location. It wasn't really so much about using senses and feeling around. It was totally the art of listening. And so if you made any noise, you'd lose. You're out of here. I'm competitive, so I definitely made sure I found you. And it's funny. It's funny to me how something that starts out as a childhood game can quietly become an adult survival strategy. What do I mean? Well, it was safer to stay quiet. It is safer to stay quiet, to hide, to silence the pain. It's safer to hide the grief, to hide the disappointment, to hide any sort of pain. Because somewhere along the way, we started to believe this. If I stay quiet, I'll be okay. If I just stay quiet, I'll be okay. Have you ever believed that the strongest thing that you could do was just pretend you were fine? I absolutely have. I'm fine. Have you ever been hurting and just convinced yourself, shh, just don't inconvenience them, just suck it up, just suck it up? I'll be honest, I learned a lot of that in church. And this belief, if I stay quiet, I will be okay, it feels safer. We kind of deceive ourselves into thinking, if I stay quiet, I'll be okay, I'm safe that way. But that's not the case, is it? The pain, it doesn't go away. It might hide for a season if we silence it. It might kind of relocate and disguise itself as something else. But the reality is that pain is still there, and it often will come up and reveal itself in surprising and, of course, incredibly inconvenient moments. That pain needs somewhere to go. And the hidden truth is that silence does not remove pain. Silence does not remove pain, it only represses it. We can keep it quiet, we can push it aside, we can turn away from it, but it's not going anywhere. And the silence, it not only impacts our relationship with ourselves, right, as we are quiet about our pain and we push it down, it doesn't just impact us individually, but it also starts to create great tension in our relationships with others. Why? Well, because we silently start to carry resentment towards that other person, because when this pain goes unseen, it turns into this bitterness, right? Because we start to assume, well, they don't care. We start to see, oh, they don't even see me. They don't even know what I'm going through. But they don't, because they don't know. Because there has been silence, because we've pushed it aside, this tension, this bitterness, this resentment, it starts to build. And then we begin to live behind a version of ourselves that isn't fully honest, because we've even convinced ourselves that the pain isn't there. And relationships with ourselves and others, they can only go as deep as honesty allows. And silence, it really starts to create this shallowness, especially in our close relationships, when that honesty is not there. When pain stays hidden, relationships, they start to lose peace. And they don't lose peace because love is absent. I'm not saying if you are silent and you're holding your pain, it's because there is not love between you and yourself, or because you're of you and your friend, your partner. But it is losing peace, not because love is absent, but because truth is absent. It's not a question of love, but it's a question of honesty and truthfulness. It's missing, it's gone, it's absent. And we believe so deeply as a people, as a community, as a nation, as a Western culture, that staying quiet makes me strong, right? We associate this silence with maturity or emotional control, that we can keep it together, that we can hold strength. But silence is just preventing the healing. It's not protecting it. That's a great misconception. Silence is not, or strength is not the absence of expression. Strength is the courage to be seen. Strength is absolutely giving pain a voice, to give pain a name. Strength is not silence. It is not keeping it all inside. I think that's especially a message that we give to young boys, right? Don't be a girl, and all sorts of other terrible things, that we give these messages as if expressing some sort of hurt or emotion is a terrible thing, or it's girly, when it's human. And so what happens? What happens to us as a people, as an individual, when we continue down this path of just silencing our pain and telling people to be quiet, keep it to yourself? Well, hope begins to shrink and gets smaller and smaller. You know, hope, it requires agency. It requires a voice. It requires a name. And without agency, hope is absent. Agency, it requires voice. It requires being acknowledged, seen, voiced, not silenced. And so when someone stops expressing their pain, they often stop believing that change is possible. They start believing the lie, even within themselves, that silence is safer, that silence is best. And really, ultimately, what that's doing is they're just surrendering their agency. The silence slowly convinces people that nothing will ever be different. But the beautiful thing is that there is some wisdom that we can pull from Scripture about claiming that agency, about taking that agency back. And so that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to look at some wisdom from Scripture on this topic, and we're going to start by looking at a story that takes place in Mark chapter 10. And it's a story truly of someone who refused to stay quiet. So in Mark chapter 10, we're going to start looking at verse 46. It says, "And they came to Jericho. And as he, being Jesus, was leaving Jericho with his disciples and a great crowd," he always had a following, jealous of them. Like, how cool. Jesus, what you doing? He left Jericho with his disciples and a great crowd. And Bartimaeus, it's a great name. Somebody should name their kid that. Bartimaeus, come here. A blind beggar, a son of Timaeus, was sitting by the roadside. We see Jesus with a great crowd, his disciples leaving Jericho, and they come in contact with a man who had been given a very specific title, blind beggar. It's so interesting to me because in a lot of stories, in the Bible where Jesus encounters people or there's healings or miracles or things that happen, the person is not named, right? It's the woman at the well or the woman caught in adultery. But for some reason, this guy was given a name, Bartimaeus. But not only was he given a name, he was also given this title of blind man, blind beggar. This is really starting to emphasize this idea that Bartimaeus was suffering far before Jesus arrived. Notice Bartimaeus' position. In the text in verse 46, we see that he is by the roadside. That's very symbolic. In society at that time, that is where he belonged to them. Hey, just don't inconvenience me with your pain. You just go sit over there. And Bartimaeus, he was reliant on begging, right? He was unable to physically see, and he was reliant on begging, which means that he was truly just reliant on people noticing him. He was reliant on people noticing him and then hoping that they might have some compassion on him as a blind man. But most people, right? Most people in society, maybe similar to us today, they had just kind of learned to just pass him by. Oh, he's a beggar on the roadside on our way to Jericho. That's just where he is. Let's just keep going by. And they had kind of learned he was just kind of that part of society. We don't want to notice him. And in verse 47 it says, and when he heard, right, he could not see, when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Bartimaeus is asking for mercy. I find it so interesting that as soon as he hears about Jesus, as he hears the crowd, right? I can imagine when there was a crowd, people were saying his name, oh, Jesus this, or, all the commotion of people. It caught his attention. He heard that it was Jesus. And he's crying out for mercy, which I think is such an interesting thing to pause at, because mercy is the language of someone who knows their need, but is not presuming entitlement. Mercy is a word that someone will use when they are feeling lower and less and small. Please, it's almost like please have mercy on me. I don't deserve anything, but I'm just asking for you to just notice. Mercy is a request for compassionate attention. See me, have mercy on me, please have compassion, notice me. It's not from a place of entitlement, privilege. It's not from a place of somebody saying that they feel like they deserve it. And I just can't help but imagine what happened inside of Bartimaeus' body when he heard that Jesus was close by. The energy that he started to feel, the hope, the anticipation, the what if. He'd just been on the road begging. What a humble, humble position on the roadside. When I think about on the roadside, like when I'm driving on the freeway or something, it's where all the trash and the dirt and the stuff just kind of goes. It's just kind of kick it aside. But he must have heard about Jesus, right? Because when Jesus came around, all of a sudden he cries out. He must have known, he must have heard from other people, maybe other beggars, of this man that had been doing miraculous things or changing people's lives, or maybe a man that was starting to break down these systems that had created a perfect space and environment for somebody like Bartimaeus to be pushed aside. He cries out. What a desperate human expression to cry out, help me, have mercy on me, begging for mercy. And I really think that he was doing this. I really think Bartimaeus was begging for mercy because he knew that Jesus would actually care. I'm sure he was probably pretty used to those around him not. But I can imagine that he begged because he knew, wow, this man has to be different. But oh boy, was the crowd really disappointing in this. In verse 48, it says, and many rebuked him. Such a churchy word to me. All these people following Jesus, and the first thing that we learn about them is that they rebuke him, telling him to be silent. But Bartimaeus didn't listen. It says, but he cried out all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. Totally just did not engage with that crowd. They told him to be quiet. Shh. And isn't that so often what pain hears? Right? When someone is experiencing pain, be quiet. Don't talk about it. Do not disrupt this moment. Don't make people uncomfortable. Shh. We don't want to hear it. We know it exists. We know that it exists, right? But we don't want to hear it. Don't inconvenience us by it. And Bartimaeus is surrounded by people who had learned this same rule, right? All these followers of Jesus, they're trying to silence him because they had learned the same rule. Stay quiet, stay in your place, don't disrupt anything. And the reality is that the crowd does not deny his pain, right? They're not saying, oh, you're not blind. No. They're not saying you're a beggar or, oh, you're in denial or this is not your reality or we're not, no. They're not denying his pain, but they're absolutely trying to attempt to silence its expression. They know that it exists. They know that in their society there is absolutely a hierarchy, but they just don't want to hear it. And this reflects such a common human reality. Pain is often tolerated as long as it stays quiet. I can think about some things that somebody in leadership has said recently about, hey, stay quiet. People we don't like to be inconvenienced by someone else's pain. We can talk about that pain exists, right? We can talk about the fact that in society there's systems of oppression, there is othering, right? We have our 5 unacceptable truths, and we're aware of some of these things. We like to talk about it, and we like to even imagine that it exists and maybe feel the pain of it. But if we're honest, when it starts to directly impact our privilege and our flow of life, we much prefer to silence it and look away. And the crowd, right? The crowd did not create Bartimaeus' blindness, but they absolutely did try to preserve his invisibility. They had told him to stay quiet because also in society at that time, they really believed that blindness was a punishment for sin. That's what they believed. They believed that if somebody was born or had a visual impairment or blindness, that it was clearly punishment. In John chapter 9, we see an example of this. In John chapter 9, and another story, another encounter, Jesus comes with somebody who is blind, and it says, and he passed by, he saw a man blind from birth, and his disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? They assumed it had to have been a punishment. That was very much like an idea in society that there was like generational sins, and that is why people were born with these things instead of recognizing that the systems that they were a part of, their culture, is what was creating this. They assumed that God must have been punishing them. We see this in churches today. Well, you didn't have enough faith. People are experiencing chronic pain. They've gone through trauma. They've gone through these things, and people start to turn their pain and their lived experiences into an opportunity for a theological debate. Who sinned? Him? His parents? It must have been one of them. The crowd assumed that blindness was a curse from God. And somewhere, though, deep within Bartimaeus, somewhere he did not believe this. I'm sure he had been told it. I'm sure he had been carrying that with him throughout his life. I mean, he took the position of a beggar on the roadside. But he must not have believed this because he was still shouting. He did not let that completely silence his pain. And the thing with Bartimaeus is that, as he is shouting, his shouting is not weakness. His shouting is not saying, you were right, I'm a sinner. My family, my parents, we did something bad. No. Bartimaeus' shouting is hope refusing to die. He is shouting because he is refusing to take on these narratives, these titles, these things that had been handed him. No. He is shouting because he is refusing for the hope that there is something more, that this is not all that he is to die. And the irony in this is that this man is without any physical sight. He can't see, and yet he is the one that is seeing so clearly. And the crowd around him is so blind. In verse 49, it says, and Jesus stopped. Of course he did. Of course he did. And Jesus stopped and said, call him. And they called the blind man, saying to him, take heart, get up, he is calling you. All of a sudden, they're real inspiring. Take heart. I know we just told you to shut it. Now, well, the man has spoken. Get up, he is calling you. In verse 50, it says, and throwing off his cloak, he sprang up and came to Jesus. Just visually can just picture how this hope that was in him then became a hope of actual movement. He sprang up. I'm absolutely going. Get out of my way. And then Jesus does something so interesting. It says, and Jesus said to him, what do you want me to do for you? And the blind man said to him, Rabbi, let me recover my sight. Jesus is asking such a surprising question here. What do you want me to do for you? It's like Jesus, come on. The guy cannot see. What type of question? Do you not see him? Did you not notice him by the side? Why are you asking this question? What type of question even is this? What? It felt a little I know I don't know. Maybe it's not sarcastic, but in my mind, it's well, what do you want me to do for you? But I know it's not. But in my human, when I read this, it's why is he asking that? Isn't it obvious what he wants you to do for him? So why ask? Jesus already knows that this man is blind. He asks because agency builds dignity. Agency builds dignity. Jesus does not assume. He does not assume that this man's condition is what this man needs. I think it is so interesting in our very ableistic environment that when we see somebody that maybe does not have sight or hearing or has some sort of maybe physical abnormality or something, that we assume that must be a problem because they don't look and they can't act like me. But I love how Jesus in this is not living like that. He does not assume that is what the man wants or needs. He asks. He restores participation in Bartimaeus' own story. Jesus allows this man to actually speak for himself instead of speaking for him like society and this entire environment had done. He allows the man to give voice to his pain, and Jesus does not assume that the pain that this man is going to voice is his vision. We don't need to forget that he was also a beggar. That means that there was poverty. We don't know. There's so much more to this man's story, and Jesus gives him an opportunity in this encounter to tell him. He allows him to have agency, to allow him to have his dignity returned, because a beggar by the roadside is so far from a dignified life. And Bartimaeus, he gives voice to his hope. I want to see. Jesus says to him, go your way, your faith has made you well. And immediately he recovered his sight and followed him on the way. Of course he followed Jesus. Of course he lingered in the midst of the only person in his life that had given him any dignity, any voice, and actually listened to the voice that vocalized his pain. And so I don't want you to miss this. Bartimaeus in this story is sitting on the edge of Jericho, which was actually the last stop of Jesus before entering Jerusalem and moving towards the cross. Very symbolic here. And he lives on the roadside. He is physically blind, he is socially invisible, and he is completely dependent on mercy. And the crowd is just trying to move past Bartimaeus. They see him, right? They know that he exists, but they don't actually see him. But when Bartimaeus cries out, even though the crowd is like, shh, Jesus stops. And before healing his eyes, before assuming and restoring his vision, Jesus restores his voice. He restores his dignity, because hope does not begin when circumstances change. Jesus couldn't have, I'm sure, not even said anything to the man, right? He probably could have walked by and just, there could have been a totally different story of like Jesus sensed there was a man and he was healed. But he doesn't do that, because it wasn't just about his circumstances. It wasn't just about his sight. It was about giving dignity. It was about looking and seeing his pain and honoring his agency. Hope begins when somebody finally stops and sees you. But more importantly, hope begins when you give your pain a voice. Absolutely, Jesus stopped and saw this man, and that changed something. But more importantly, the moment of change really came when Bartimaeus cried out. He cried out. And so what does this mean in our everyday normal life? Well, first of all, it means that we can practice the discipline of noticing. I think in our everyday, in our normal lives, there's stuff to do, there's bills to be paid. Right now, I'm in the midst of student teaching, and I'm a new mom, and I'm doing stuff here, and there's all this stuff floating around. And if I'm being really honest, my go-to thing in the midst of stress and busyness is absolutely to avoid my own pain, to just put it all in a little box and go over here. But something that I have learned, especially in this last week, is that pain doesn't just go away. It'll show up. It'll show up. And there's so much beauty in the discipline of noticing the pain within yourself. Our bodies are so amazing at letting us know where the pain is. And I'm not just talking about physically. Our bodies and our emotions and our souls and our hearts are so amazing at letting us know where the pain is emotionally, relationally, spiritually, if we'll just stop for a moment and notice. Healing begins with noticing what is so easy to overlook. We go through day to day and we just have these kind of reactivities, but I guarantee if we would just stop for a moment, we'll begin to notice, wait, it's trying to tell me something. Pain is a gift. And I'm not trying to be like toxically positive here when I say that, but without it, we would not know that something is wrong. If we did not have pain, we would not stop, right? When you touch the stove and it is hot, we pull back. It hurts. Relationships, whatever it might be, pain is a gift. And honestly, pain is a beginning. It's the opening of like a story when we realize, ouch. It's trying to tell us something. It's trying to get our attention. So we can begin to notice, but also in this noticing, I think that there's quite a need to replace assumption with curiosity. I think sometimes we think that we know. Oh, I already know why I'm acting this way. Or of course they are because blah, 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 right? But with Jesus, he did not assume. He did not assume when he came in contact with Bartimaeus that he knew. Well, of course it's going to be about his sight. Look at him. No. He asked, what do you want me to do for you? Curiosity. Really what this is saying is do not assume that you know the pain of another. Be curious. But most importantly, do not assume that you know the pain within yourself. Be curious. Life is changing, circumstances are changing, things are moving and transitioning, change is guaranteed. And when we pause and we allow curiosity and noticing to happen, we get such insight. Jesus asked Bartimaeus, what do you want me to do for you? He's not assuming, he's inviting voice. And I think one of the most healing things that we can do and say to someone is not advice. Oh, there's pain, well, I think you should do this. Listen to me, I know. Or my favorite is, I know what you're going through. You've lived my exact experience. That never helps me. When I hear that, I find myself feel a little like rage inside where I'm like, please do not make this about you right now. I am telling you that da-da-da hurts. Simple questions like, how are you really doing? Or what has this been like for you? Not assuming. Asking, what do you need right now? How can I stand beside you? And then, this is the hardest part, everyone, hold your horses, as I've heard many times. Stay present long enough to actually hear the answer, right? We ask these questions, and then people begin to speak, and then we do this thing where we start to wait, and we're like, well, I know what I'm going to say next. I know how I'm going to fix this for them. And we're not actually listening. We're just hearing them, but we're not actually listening. And so stay present long enough to actually hear them. I can imagine when Jesus asked Bartimaeus, what do you want me to do? It's not like the crowd all of a sudden was quiet. They didn't have any respect for this man. But I can just imagine that I just picture it, noise and commotion. Like, whoa, what is he doing up? Why is he running around? Where did his cloak go? That Jesus listened. He gave him 100% of his undivided attention. And he heard him and he honored that. Agency is restored when people are allowed to speak their own experiences. And so how does this make you a better person? How does this make a world a better place? Why are we talking about this morning? Well, the reality is the world changes whenever invisibility is interrupted. When people feel seen, it changes things. Maybe not in an instant moment, right? But moment by moment. Because every time someone is seen instead of ignored, something is restored within them. When someone is actually seen, their dignity, their worth, their hope, it changes, right? Hope changes how people live when people are seen. And when people feel seen, they begin to believe that their life matters. And then when they believe that their life actually matters, they begin to live differently. And when they begin to live differently, when they begin to recognize I matter, they matter, we matter, entire communities change. Imagine a world where people did not rush past each other. Imagine a world where people did not have to shout to be acknowledged, where suffering was met with attention instead of avoidance. When pain is heard, loneliness decreases, bitterness softens, and resentments are released. Not because pain just disappears, it's kind of not going anywhere, unfortunately. I think we've all tried that by silencing it, right? And then there it is again. But because pain is no longer silenced, hope begins to build. And so what is God inviting you into today? What does this mean? What can you take from here? Maybe you're new. Maybe this is one of your first times here, or maybe in your own life you're starting to actually sit with the pain. I find that a lot of people land in Crossroads because places just like this have caused a lot of pain. Well, what I would say is let yourself be seen. Name your fatigue, name your grief, name your questions, name your longing. You don't have to hide to belong. I know for decades I hid because it was the only way that I felt like I could belong within my family, within church communities, within so many spaces. Brooke, do not be your authentic self. And so I hid so much. But imagine that when I allowed myself to be seen, when I remember the very first time I sat in a spiritual space, it was a small little church kind of setting in California. And I remember sitting there, and for the very first time, I vocalized just how much pain I had from people in church. And I began to look and realize that I wasn't alone in that. And I began to have people in that space also see me. I was never the same. And I never went back to those spaces. For maybe you've newly committed yourself to following this peacemaking path. Maybe this is something that you've come a few times, you're maybe reconstructing your faith. And to you, I say, become the person that stops and acknowledges the pain. Don't be the person that rushes by. Jesus, he saw him. He stopped. He allowed people's pain to interrupt his life and his schedule. He was on his way somewhere. And he treated people as sacred people and not just obstacles. So this week, maybe that means to choose one moment where you would normally rush and just keep moving, to maybe choose a moment to stop and pause for yourself. Or maybe it's pausing and staying in a conversation just a little bit longer. Maybe it's asking the deeper questions. Maybe it's listening without just trying to fix. Maybe it's acknowledging someone's pain instead of trying to avoid it. And this isn't about walking around. This is not about walking around and trying to look for someone to heal. You're obviously in pain. Let me sit and heal you. No, no, no. We're simply looking to see. And maybe you've been doing this for a while. Maybe you're like, Brooke, I know this story. I've read this stuff. I've gone to therapy. Don't lose your tenderness. Sometime when we've been walking this path for a while, we can get tired. We can maybe even get calloused, or maybe we can grow really efficient and maybe a little guarded. And we unconsciously kind of start moving past our pain instead of entering it, because I know, or I've done the work. Not necessarily because we stopped caring, but because we've just carried so much. And so the invitation for you is not necessarily to try harder, but it's to stay open. To remember that this work of the peacemaking path is not sustained by just effort alone, but by presence, by lingering and presence for yourself, but also for one another. Even Bartimaeus had to receive before he could follow, right? He received, he cried out in mercy, he experienced the hope that is found in Jesus, and then he followed after him. And so hope, it's not only something that you give, it is something that you are allowed to receive as well. And so on our tables, in front of us and on the sides, we're going to partake in communion today. And in this moment that we partake in communion, there's also some candles on the side that are battery powered. And this is an opportunity for us at this table, not to come as people who have it all together, not to come as people who've just moved past our pain. We're not going to just have toxic positivity and partake in this stuff and say, oh, all better now. No, no, no. This is going to be an opportunity for us to come as we are, to come honest, to come open, and to come human. Because the good news of Jesus is not that hope is found by avoiding pain, but hope is found when pain is acknowledged. Hope is restored when pain is brought into the light. And so that's what we're going to do today. I don't know what your pain is. I don't know what you came in. I know what kind of week I had. I'm not going to lie. I had a hard week. And so this is just an opportunity for us to come with that pain. It's to light a candle, maybe for yourself, maybe for a pain of somebody else that you know, to honor it. As we partake in communion, it's an opportunity for us to remember and honor the pain of Jesus and the pain that he held. Because healing begins the moment that we stop pretending that we don't have wounds. It's okay to acknowledge them. It's okay to take a second. Healing is found so deeply in the moment that when we actually sit with, oh, this hurts. This tension in my relationship, it hurts. The conflict at work, it hurts. The trauma that I didn't choose hurts. I want to read the first verse of the song that's going to be sung during communion. I just think it's so beautiful. And I think sometimes when songs are going, we kind of miss what they're holding. It says, "Blessed are the ones who do not bury all the broken pieces of their heart. Blessed are the tears of all the weary, pouring like a sky of falling stars. Blessed are the wounded ones in mourning, brave enough to show the Lord their scars. And blessed are the hurts that are not hidden, open to the healing touch of God. This song is about the power of voicing our pain and taking hold of our agency and allowing hope to start to take shape as we encounter the living Christ in these symbols of this gluten-free cracker, non-alcoholic juice, battery-powered candles. They can all seem so silly, but these are symbols. And so the body of Christ broken for you, the blood of Christ shed for you, may you allow your pain, our pain, your heartache, our heartache, my heartache, to be seen, to be held. May we pause in this moment and just honor it. Let's just honor it.
Blessed are the ones who do not bury all the broken pieces of their heart. Blessed are the tears of all the weary, pouring like a sky of falling stars. Blessed are the wounded ones in mourning, brave enough to show the world their scars. Blessed are the hurts that are not healed, still have strength to love their enemies. Blessed is the faith of those who persevere. Though the fall, the left, the defeat, the kingdom is yours. The kingdom is yours. Hold on a little more. This is not the end. Hope is in the Lord. Keep your eyes on Him. The kingdom is yours. The kingdom is yours. Hold on a little more. This is not the end. Hope is in the Lord. Keep your eyes on Him. Hold on a little more. This is not the end. Hope is in the Lord. Keep your eyes on Him.
God, we thank you so much that we do not have to bury our pain. Thank you so much for the hope that is found in you. That just like Bartimaeus, you see us and you are asking us, what do you want me to do for you? So God, we give you our pain. We give you our burdens. We are so thankful. We are so thankful that you do not turn away, that you are not far from us, that the lie that we have been handed, that we are separate from you, that our sin or this pain that has been given to us, or maybe we did not even choose, does not disqualify us, and that the kingdom is ours. The kingdom is here. As we go into the week, as we go from this place, may we cling and hold to the fact that the kingdom is ours, and that our pain is sacred, and that you honor it, and that we've honored it. Thank you. In your name, amen. I think there's such a sacredness when people come together and they make space and they hold the complexity of life. So thank you for participating in this experience. Thank you for making space for other people to bring that. Something I so appreciate about Crossroads, about the leadership, about this team and this space is that we're not pretending. I'm not going to stand up here and pretend like I know or that it's easy. So thank you for showing up and doing that too. We're going to transition here in a moment, and we're going to watch a video and kind of talk about what is ahead, but I just wanted to take a moment to just honor the noticing that you guys did. I see the candles lit. It's a new one. Just wrote that in your notes, litten. See the candles that are lit. And I just want to honor that because I know that each candle that is lit is honoring a story of yours, a story of someone that is not here. And one thing that I really love is that two things can be true at once. We can sit in a space like this and we can honor but we can also allow ourselves to have hope. We can allow ourselves to move through that and lean into the hope that is found in things like Easter and the things that aren't to come, in spaces like this that can lean into the values of generosity and fun. And so we're going to watch a short video here on Easter. It's going to change the vibe a little bit, but I want you to hold space for both, that we can look at what is ahead and be excited, but I don't want you to forget that you can still have that noticing and we can have that moment here. So please watch. There's some exciting things coming ahead.
right, thank you, everyone. Maybe let's give a little hand for Brooke. That was a tremendous message. So in just a minute, I will call the room hosts around to collect Connect cards and donations and pens. While you're getting that ready, let's talk about Easter and Good Friday. I cannot believe it is only a few short weeks away. We'll be rolling out more details in the next few weeks, but for now, I just want you to mark your calendars. Good Friday is April 3rd, and we will share a dinner together. We had a great time last year, and we'll do that right before the program, and the program is called Who Do You Say I Am? Then Easter morning, we'll have two identical services, 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. And as you saw, we will have that continental breakfast and egg hunt between the services. So here's what I don't want you to miss this morning. We are expecting hundreds of kids on Easter morning for the big Easter egg hunt, and we're gonna need donations, like 700 toy-filled eggs. Now, we have a very specific Amazon wish list for these donations. I've already used it. You can find the link on the homepage of your Crossroads app. And really, we thank you for helping create Easter fun for every child that attends on Easter Sunday. Okay, room hosts, time to come around, and we will get you out of here shortly.
Are you calling me out of my mind, out of my mind? Are the roofs off? We expand like desire, deep and we're wired. Are you calling me out of my mind, out of my mind? Your love is. Sing this with us. Kinda wild, come and change my focus. I don't know this where you're going. Near enough, come and change my focus. Help us know what you've been doing over us. Come and change my focus. I don't know this where you're going. Near enough, come and change my focus. Help us know what you've been doing over us.
Alrighty, if you guys wouldn't mind standing, we're gonna get out of here in just a moment, but we like to end our service together every week with a blessing. So if you would like, you can open up your hands to receive that blessing, to hold on to that as we move from the sacred space. May you go from this place knowing that your pain is not invisible and your voice is not insignificant. May you have the courage to bring what is hidden into the light, trusting that hope begins where honesty lives. May you become a person who stops, who sees, and who restores dignity wherever the world has learned to look away. May your presence bring peace to wounded places, and may your listening awaken hope and weary hearts. And may you walk forward knowing that the God who stopped for Bartimaeus is still stopping for you, still seeing you, and is calling you into healing and hope. Amen. Everybody have a fabulous Sunday.
When you see the road from every direction, it will give you eyes, give you hope, it'll give you perspective. I've been back and forth, and yeah, I had my crashes.
ashes. Now I've seen the road, it goes every direction. Oh, there are stories to tell, the times we grew and the times we fell. Oh, I've been afraid some days, but the road will lead us to a better place. Road will lead us to a better place. Dead ends come and go. Look toward the horizon. Up ahead you'll find a peace of mind, relief from the trying. I have burned a bridge, wrecked in a ditch, had to ask forgiveness. Dead ends come and go. Look toward the horizon. Oh, there are stories to tell, the times we grew and the times we fell. Oh, I've been afraid some days, but the road will lead us to a better place. Road will lead us to a better place. Oh, there are stories to tell, times we grew and the times we fell. Ooh, I've been afraid some days, and the road will lead us to a better place. Oh, there are stories to tell, times we grew and the times we fell. Oh, I've been afraid some days, but the road will lead us to a better place. Road will lead us to a better place. Hey, yeah. To a better place.
Losing my cool, breaking my rules. I don't usually get so out of my head, walking the edge. What am I falling into? Out here again, where do we land? Tell me, is it too soon? Losing my cool, breaking my rules. I'm going crazy over you. I know you say you're not afraid to dive into something. You got nothing to lose, but I'm not that way. Taking my sweet time, don't wanna be the one to cry. But I'm losing my cool, breaking my rules. I don't usually get so out of my head, walking the edge. What am I falling into? Out here again, where do we land? Tell me, is it too soon? Losing my cool, breaking my rules. I'm going crazy over you. My hands, they shake when you walk into the room, and I can't think straight. There's no one like you, but I wanna chase this feeling with you. Don't walk away from this tonight. I'm going with you. Losing my cool, breaking my rules. I don't usually get so out of my head, walking the edge. What am I falling into?